And we're live. Everybody, welcome to Whiskey Truly, the War Game Chat, our live show every month on YouTube. I'm Mo from Mo's Game Table, and joining me tonight is my co-host, everyone's favorite Gimp with the Limp, the TheGimpyGamer, Nate Rogers. How you doing, Nate?
I am tired, but I am here.
You are tired, but you are here. That's new fatherhood for you.
Yep. You guys know exactly why I'm tired.
And our other co-host, the Wargaming Wizard from Oz, Kev Sharp, he's not going to be able to make it with us tonight, because he's doing something like lame, like selling a house or something. I don't know.
Come on. They even put on a new shirt for him.
Exactly.
Come on, man.
And our special guest tonight is David Heath from Lock and Load Publishing. Welcome to the show, David. Great to have you on finally.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you joining us. And so what's been going on with you guys? Nate, you start first. I know you've been busy with the new addition to the family.
Yeah, for those of you guys who don't know, wife had the fourth kid. Everybody knows because I've been, talking about it. I'm real big on family. And I was actually just showing the baby to these two knuckleheads. She was doing her crying thing. But other than that, Mo, I got a little project for you. Remember I told you earlier? Me and you going to do a little something together? We're going to do it.
Oh, tank chess, huh?
Tank chess.
I don't know how to play chess.
Well, it's not chess. You got heavy tanks, medium tanks, tank destroyers, artillery, stuff like that. Real fun stuff. Made by the same people who did the Age of Dogfights World War I that I'm working on now. So I like the company. I like the people. They're real nice. We're going to do this together because I want to film it like cooperatively.
Excellent. Sounds good. David, what about you? What's new with you?
Well, let me see. Redid my office, which is a big deal. I got two nice 49-inch monitors. One window, so I can actually get some more work done. I bought little shout out to Herman and his new Gettysburg game. What is it called again? I forget the name.
Most Fearful Sacrifice.
Yep, that's it.
I kickstarted that today.
Excellent.
I think it's over already, but Uwe's thing looks crazy. His
Stellaris.
Yeah, Stellaris.
Yeah.
I did that one too.
Yeah, I back that.
And then I did Molter, which is by Worthington.
Malta Besieged, yeah.
Oh, wait, you should have got something in. You should have just got in Company of Heroes, because I just got that in.
I'm waiting.
You haven't got it yet?
No, nice. I complained the other day, and he said, it's still coming. I said, okay.
Well, I'm sure.
Christmas.
Yeah, they had like thousands of people who got that, because it's a real big game. But you're going to like it. Like the miniatures that are in that thing, they're heavy. Like they're hardcore.
Well, I had them all professionally painted and everything because I'm not doing that crap.
Oh, the Gippy's gal, the wifey, she's wanting to paint it. She wants to paint the terrain set. Yeah, but she wants to fudge with me and like paint it pink and flowery and pretty.
My wife got told she had to do that. I have blood stains on different terrains in the grass, and yeah, that's on a wifey thing now.
No, you're gonna like it. It's real nice. Like the production quality is really top notch. They did good with it.
It looked incredible. I mean, part of the reason I got it because we had toyed with I think it was Al Davis, which we haven't really said no to the idea of making a miniature Lock and Load tactical. I just don't think I have the strength or the stamina to go through that whole process of miniatures and all this other stuff. I mean, I like the plastic case they came up with. I think that was great. But we'll see what I get. That's all.
So what you're saying is there's going to be Lock and Load tactical miniatures. Okay, good deal.
I didn't say that.
Well, no, I did.
Yes, you did. David, every time you have an idea, you're like, oh, this is an idea. Let's just do it and just see what happens. Like that's how you operate.
That's the one I kind of look at and go, ooh, that looks hot. I mean, I'm not sure I want to really attempt that.
No, you'll make a miniature or something.
There's a lot of miniatures out there already, modern era miniatures you could do that you can use for the line.
Yeah.
Partner with somebody. There's your idea. Make it happen.
The gentleman who ran, I forget what it's called, the one who ran the Monster miniature game in Atlanta, I forget his name. I'm sure Keith remembers. I just talked to him the other day.
Oh, I know who you do. I can't remember the name.
He did such a great job with that. And him and I talked about I told him my problems with miniatures. And don't write me hate mail, guys. But my problem with miniatures is, you buy these rules and then you just don't have a game. You still got to buy these miniatures, and then they want you to paint them, and then there's terrain this, terrain that. If I'm going to buy a miniature game, I want to buy it somewhat complete so I can put it on the table and try it out.
Don't buy Aliens.
Yeah.
Well, I have Alien. I bought both Alien games.
You bought Aliens, Another Glorious Day in the Core?
Yes.
Have you opened it yet?
No, I haven't opened it yet.
Okay.
I think you have to put it. You got to glue all the miniatures together. That's cheating, man.
Yeah, I didn't even bother to paint it.
Hobby shop, and I'll say, "Hey guys, who's looking for some? Got some painting skills?" A store that tells me, and then I just pay some kid, very reasonable amount of money, and he takes a month or two and he paints everything, and I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah, but for a lot of people, that's the hobby. That's the relaxing part is putting them together and painting them in your own scheme. Developing some skills. I'm painting Blood Red Skies right now. I've been working on that one, the World War II playing game.
Mm-hmm.
Painting BattleTech, painting more Blood Bowl, getting ready to paint Curse City when I get that this weekend.
I tried that with naval ships back before I was married. I was living at home, so I had all the money in the world, no rent, and I tried painting it. And unfortunately, from my way of thinking, it is a task. So I want to get that task done so I can move along, and that is not how you paint miniatures.
Mm-mm.
Actually, you know what? When I went to Origins many years ago, you guys remember the role-playing game? I think it's called Empire of the Phaeton Sons. It's an excellent game. I don't even know if it's in print anymore. But, I bought, a couple $100 worth of miniatures at the con, and I said, I'll buy these as long as you paint them all before I leave the con.
Oh, wow.
And the guy did. He charged me like $300. But I got like a gigantic bag of all these. I mean, this thing is heavy. It's got stands. And he did a great job for having a very limited amount of time to do it. Now, how many times did I play this? Absolutely none. But I've got the miniatures to deal with it.
Well, that's why you're into hex and counter games, so you can just put the counter on the board and you're done.
Right, you're done, yeah.
I mean, there is something fun about miniatures, though. Like Nate was saying, if you sit down and whether it's assembling them or, some of them come all together. Some have to be assembled. Like you were saying, you're painting the BattleTech. Those come assembled. Others you have to put together, like Alien, stuff like that. But there is something zen about putting them together and then sitting down and washing them, priming them, painting them. That's kind of along the same lines as like clipping counters with a war game. It's just one of those zen times. To me, it is. I enjoy it.
I can't do that either. To me, that's all time I could be gaming from my point of view.
True.
The wife actually wants to do a video session where we do a collaborative paint thing and paint Company of Heroes. And I don't think she really understands what she's getting herself into because there's a buttload of miniatures in that game. That's not like one video session. That's 10 video sessions to paint that whole damn thing. And with the kids running around, that's not going to happen. I actually talked to her about that the other day, the cost. I was like, you do realize that if we didn't have all these damn kids, like feeding them, clothing them.
All these damn kids.
Do you know how many more games I could have? She didn't like it when I started pointing that out.
Yeah, but you know what? Do you say how many shoes you could have? There you go. End of story.
Like and she goes, well, we need to buy this and this for the kids. Honey, that's 2 games.
I've tried to equate that with her hair. I'm like, you do realize when you get your hair done, that's like a Kickstarter right there that I could be getting right now. And she's like, what's more important, my hair, your Kickstarter? I'm like,
well, she says, well, you will be Kickstarted differently when I come home from the salon. So I can't really complain about that one,
Yeah.
Well, what you got to do is when she says that, say, what would my hair be without, going to the salon? Just hand her a hat. There you go. Yeah. Here's a baseball hat. That's what your hair will be.
My wife's very Italian, New York, and an NYPD retiree. You're going to get killed, not her, killed.
True.
That's why you don't marry a Yankee woman. You got to come down south.
Yeah, listen, the down south girls are dangerous too. I've met some of them.
Well, true. Speaking of which, are we going to be able to hang out together? Have we heard anything about WBC happening this year or not?
Well, I'm going to call, I forget the gentleman's name. I'm going to call him maybe I'll even call him this week. But if they're going to make you walk around, not that I'm just before I get more hate mail, I don't care about the freaking masks, okay? But, you try to order Starbucks with both of you wearing masks. It's like takes like 6 times to repeat the order, which sometimes comes wrong because they can't hear you. Can you imagine being in a game hall like WBC? You know how noisy it is. Can you imagine walk through the mask like that? And so if they're going to make that a requirement, which I'm told they are, but I have not officially been told that by the people who run it, I'm not going to go.
Yeah.
Well, that
I
sucks.
think that's what's going to happen with a lot of the conventions. I think they're going to be doing that because I don't think they're going to have a say. I think it's going to be the locations that they're at, the hotels. And I'm the same way. If conventions are going to have masks, there's no point. And I'm not going to go because I'm not going to sit there for 12 hours with the mask on.
You know, inside the hallway in the elevator, I'll tolerate that. Once I go in the game hall, you know, but I've talked to a few of the guys and we're thinking of, I'm not going to call it a lock and load convention because it's not. It'd just be a lot of lock and load people with other press people and friends where I know I don't have to wear a mask. And I've checked with a few places in Springs, and I've actually checked with where is is it North Dakota or South Dakota?
South Dakota.
Yeah, I got called a Nazi last time I wore a show like this. Yeah.
I love he butchers the angle, man. No, she's been barking up my tree. She wants to go. Like she really, she wants to go to it. But we hadn't really thought about the mask angle. We kind of figured they were just going to cancel it. But she had so much fun with the kids, and she likes getting to hang with everybody. And I do too. You know, we want to get out of the house. So if we can, we're going to try to go. But I don't know. Now that you make that point, like if you guys weren't going, and probably a bunch of other people weren't going, it's not really worth driving up there.
But I will be honest with you. I don't know what the number count is, so this is not an official update. Everyone I've talked to, except for 2 people I know of, when I travel in large circles, as you know, with the convention, I only know 2 people who are going, who already said they're going to show up. That's it, 2.
Damn.
And so, you know, and I've already told the guys, I said, if we go and there's no mask, I said, I'm not bringing any inventory. I think what I'm going to do is, you know, maybe I'll bring a case or 2, something minor, because it costs thousands of dollars to ship this crap back and forth across the country.
I thought you drove it in a trailer.
Darren drives it. You know, Darren likes to drive. I don't. I like to fly, get there a day or 2 early, sleep, because I don't get to sleep ever. You know, and then I can, you know, mosey on around and do things. Darren likes to drive, but, you know, it depends on his wife's amount of vacation time and everything else, because she's got, you know, 3 days, 4 days vacation time. He can't be driving 2 days here and 2 days back, you know. So, but either way, if, you know, I said, I'm going to rent a table. I'm going to say, here's the deal. These are the games, and we're going to give you 30, 40, 50% off, maybe even 60% off on some of the games. And if you buy it at the show or charge it right then and there, the order goes right to the warehouse. It should ship the same day, except if it's a Saturday or Sunday. Then it'll ship on Monday. And it'll be free shipping.
See what Roy said here? There'll be a new small convention in Vicksburg this fall. Now, Roy, is that going to be a new convention that's starting and will continue every year? Or is this just a one-shot deal?
Where's Vicksburg? Is that Pennsylvania?
No, I think that's in Virginia.
Virginia? Yeah, see, that's real close to me. I could do a Virginia thing real easy. See, I prefer to drive because, I mean, I carry everywhere I go, and planes aren't very conducive to that.
Well,
yeah, no, not the, like I said, I would drive to. I wouldn't drive. I don't know if I'll drive to Pennsylvania. That just seems like an excessively long trip for me. But North Dakota has no masks. You can get together. Nice state, not too hot, not too cold. And so I'm really considering that, or Colorado Springs. It's next to the airport, very close to the airport. Nice food. I know the area well. And you know how you get like if you have a wedding, you know, you get a whole ballroom. Yeah. I mean, we used to do it at Origins. When I was at Matrix, we used to rent the entire ballroom on the floor. And we wouldn't play inside the convention hall because you couldn't hear anybody. And it was crowded. And most of the games these guys were playing were never Vicksburg's in Mississippi. That's
good thing we're not playing geography.
Yeah,
we'd all suck.
Well, maybe there's more than one Vicksburg. We don't know.
I think he means the Vicksburg that we were talking about, and we were just playing stupid. But, you know, this way you can go into the private hall. We can make sure they're 6 feet apart, the tables, limited amount of people. You know, don't have to worry about the masks, and just play. And show off the new games to, you know, certain press people, certain gamers, let it be play tested. So you kind of have like a mini con, and you don't have to deal with all that crap.
Well, I mean, to be fair, does it really matter? Because you're in the hotel and the air gets circulated anyway, so...
Listen, have you not read the CDC reports? Come on. We're all going to die. It comes out late at night, kills everybody after dark.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it affects bars and gyms.
No, it only comes at head height when you're in restaurants. After that, when you sit down, you're down below the level, and you can take your mask off. You're safe.
Yeah. Okay.
No, but I think that's going to be a case. I had said that a couple months ago. I think that there's going to be issues with conventions this year for the simple fact that not everyone's still vaccinated. Not everybody's going to get vaccinated. There's going to be issues there. There's going to be issues with people not wanting to fly because of their masks and everything else. People not wanting to be around other people, when they fly, and then getting to the convention itself when you're inside the facility, depending on what their processes and procedures are, you're going to have to wear a mask or not, depending on where you go, and that's going to really make a big impact on things. Plus, there's a lot of people that still may not feel comfortable right now, and they're going to wait till 22. That's why I think the soonest that we'd actually see conventions for real would be 22.
There'll be some vaccination to wear off.
What's that?
That's just in time for the vaccination to wear off.
That's why you get a booster. No, but I think that's what's going to happen.
Something else to think about just popped in my head. A lot of places do that crap where they check you for a fever or whatnot when you come in.
Mm-hmm.
What happens if you've traveled 5, 6, 9 hours, from my case, to get one of these conventions, and one of your kids or your spouse has a small grade fever, and the hotel's like, no, that person can't come in. Sorry, honey, you got to sleep in the car for a couple of days.
And that's, like I said, I forget the gentleman's name who runs WBC. He's a great guy, and he's really, really has supported my company, and we have a gigantic press hall in the convention center, which, of course, fortunately, we didn't get to use it last year for the first time because it canceled everything. And this year it seems to be up in the air. I just don't think it'll be enjoyable, and I think you're going to end up paying. I mean, we dropped well in excess of 10 grand of the company last year, or the year before, excuse me. So, and it is definitely my favorite show out of all the cons I go to. And I get to meet all my buddies and friends. I mean, we got guys overseas and different places I only get to see when I go to the con. But if it's going to be really reduced, you're going to have to wear masks. And not to sound mean, guys, but war gamers are not some of the most healthiest people on the planet. Okay, so I wonder how many. I wonder how many will either not go, or wives won't want them to go, or they have elderly parents home that they don't want to put them at risk. And that's a fair comment, in all fairness.
Yeah, because it is on average an older population, so that is something else to consider. I think you're right. I think it's probably going to be 22 before we really see the convention thing going on. So I'm going to have to come up with another trip for the wife.
There's still going to be conventions, though. The conventions will be online. Digital conventions are here, and they're going to be staying at least for the short term. And I don't see a reason for them to go away for the long term either, because when you think about it, you can go to conventions that you've not been able to go to before. You can go, if you've never been able to go out to San Diego or to Connecticut or to Pittsburgh or wherever, you can go there digitally, through a virtual convention. And this is great, especially for people overseas. If they can't make it for obvious reasons, it's a long trip, it's a lot of money. Well, they can still get involved in the virtual convention that happens once a year or twice a year. And then the people who can still go to the physical convention can do that too. So I think that we've hit on a really good thing with this virtual convention aspect of the hobby. And I think it's done really well. So I don't see it necessarily going away.
It's a Band-Aid.
Somebody talking about Gen Con. I cannot see how in God's good earth they're going to have that con.
Yeah, no, I don't either.
That is like 30 or 40,000 people, maybe even more.
Yeah, and everybody's all crammed in, shoulder to shoulder.
Are you kidding me?
Well, here you go.
When I was a kid, when I was first married, I took my dad and my kids were young, and I'm holding their hands, walking through this, literally pressure cooking crowd. And my oldest, Andrew, who's always my, how should we say, adventurous one, drops his toy and decides to let go of my hand. Okay? I literally turned around.
Bye-bye.
He was gone. I've never experienced that before or since. And all I know was I called my father. I said, get your backside down here. I lost Andrew in this crowd. And I was going to the booth. And as I got through the crowd, got into the actual convention hall, which they hadn't opened yet. My middle son says, what about Andrew? I said, what do you want me to do, Nick? I said, he's in the crowd. Hopefully he'll figure out where we are. What does he do? I'm not leaving my brother. Let's go. My hand runs right into the masses again. I said, my wife's going to come. And I think when my father came, my son finally came back, and when my father found me and my brother, I had found the two kids that found me, and I said, "Stay here. We're going to the mall, and I'm buying them cell phones." You know.
Well, just a little while ago, you were complaining, saying that if you didn't have the kids, there's another game, there's another game, there's another game. Well, then you could have bought a whole bunch of games at Gen Con if you had just
But then I had
flawed by the masses.
I had to carry the games. The kids at least walk themselves.
But LBW Strategy Game says, I got an email that my store is going to run remote events for Gen Con. So we may see some of that happening with some of the stores, which is kind of cool. And Carl said Wargame Boot Camp will be at Connections next week, which is going to be
that's the military con,
online, right? For the first time. Yeah, professional and hobby wargamers are going to be getting together for that.
Who runs that? Is that James Sterrett? I talked to him today. Him and I were on the phone. I think he's part of that, isn't he?
He may be part of one of the volunteers, yeah, because it's all volunteer. And virtual con stuff, there's plenty of virtual cons. Armchair Dragoons is going to be doing one. Harold Buchanan does one. So stay tuned for more information on those. There'll be a couple coming up fairly soon. So it'll be interesting to get involved in if you're not already done so. Like Nate, I know you haven't done it, so you should join in.
I don't mind joining in and helping out and doing the caster thing, but it's so much better when you get to be there, get stuck in, get your hands on stuff. That's how you get to meet so many people.
Con, there is no substitute for that. I agree. But I mean, we had a great time with you, your kids, your wife. I think one of your nephews were there.
No. My wife's brother was there.
Right.
And he was asking too. He was really wanting to go with us because he had a great time, hanging out there. He was asking about it as well. And I still got a kick out of it. She still walks around with a big head over what you guys said to her when she opened the door. I think it was for Darren.
That she was an angel for putting up with you?
No. She knocks on David's door, or they knock on David's door, and she opens it, and they're like, do we have the right room? Is this one of the booth babes? I mean, do we go to the wrong room? And when they said that to her, like, she was walking around with a swollen head the rest of the day. She's like, I got called a booth babe. Did you hear that? They called me a booth babe. She still chuckles over that shit. Maybe that's why she wants to go back.
You know what? Maybe I'll get her a t-shirt that says "Lock and Little Booth Babe."
Oh, that would just swell her head even further.
And, the funny thing is now she has a cool hat, too, to go with it, because she is the only living person that has worn my hat aside from me.
Yeah, she still keeps that one that you sent her. It's right there hanging off her bed.
Yep.
Not for any purposes or anything.
I was not going to go there. I was going to wait until after the show. I wasn't going to do it after the show.
I did want to bring up something like pertinent to what we actually are supposed to be doing here. David, I was going to let you talk a little bit more about Point Blank, let some people know some more about it, because as the boot camp videos are going up, and I've started those back up again, people are asking, they're looking forward to it. They know components are changing a little bit as it's going along, but it is getting traction, like people are interested in it. So if you want to update them about Kickstarter, when it's going, all that good stuff.
Okay. I saw some unhappy people in the world at 45. Oh, when's Kickstarter going to start? Let me just say this again for the 10th zillionth time. Okay. I won't put anything on Kickstarter until the designers or designer development team and myself feel confident that if any key person died in the group, it can still get done. Okay. So Sean is honestly, I think he's got a little bit of work to do on the solo. He's been play testing it. From what I've seen, I think he's done a pretty damn good job. But he's a great designer, and he wants some more scenarios. So I think Devin is jumping in. Don't quote me on this, to help him make some more scenarios too. Sean's got himself stretched a little thin because he's also working on making new scenarios, not new scenarios, but helping us convert the Desert Heat and Stalin's Triumph scenarios for Nations of War into the computer game. So that's when they start, gentlemen, it will be back to back to back to back. So when you see one, you can pretty much guess by the time 24 to 48 hours of that ends, which will only be about 20, 21 days, the next one will be popping up. And after that one, the same thing. Because the goal we have is I want to print here in the country, a real printer. And I found somebody that I haven't tested yet, but I'm going to be driving to Kansas
They called you back?
No, actually, I found someone who actually has a number, and they for me, and he's been a great help all along. But I mean, I've gone to the point now. If they can produce everything, the counters is always the Achilles heel, gentlemen. Yeah. I don't want to make thin, crappy counters. I know there's a guy in New York State. I don't remember his name. His counters are kind of thin, and they're not the best quality lineup and all that. But I've actually ordered the last couple of games he made. I ordered the counters from China, and I flew them in. They were still cheaper than buying them here.
That just sucks.
Yeah, and I'm not talking 10 cents cheaper. I'm talking like over $1 cheaper.
Yeah.
You're talking about like $1 per sheet?
Yeah, over $1 per sheet cheaper. There's thousands of dollars cheaper.
Damn.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's make a difference. But this game is majorly cards, so that should help you out.
Yeah, well, yeah. And really what I want to do is we are moving a lot of the warehouse into, believe it or not, Amazon. Okay?
Never heard of them.
Like Amazon's warehouse?
Yeah, and the reason is because the shipping is just astronomical. I mean, do you know the shipping rate since Christmas or right before Christmas has gone up 2 times at least, and maybe even 3 times. Darren should be on the show to discuss this, but you'll have to hear a grown man cry because he's like disgusted with this. But one of them was only supposed to be temporarily, and they decided to keep it. And now,
because they're going to lower prices.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then they're talking about a third one now, and the games are costing the ship almost half of what the games cost. Give or take $10. And of course now when the COVID was going on, it wasn't horrible, but there was a lot of damage, loose packages. And some people, you get a ding on the box, they want a new box. You don't have 1,000 extra boxes just sitting here to, give a new box. And I don't blame them because I want a good box, but I'm not as picky. I mean, if my box gets a little ding, I'll just deal with it. Some people got, Steam is broken. We just didn't have any more boxes. We still don't have any more boxes. So,
I mean, that's really not something to flip out over.
For some, it is though. Some people are real picky about that. Yeah.
Just because I'm not as caring about it, or it wouldn't bother me, doesn't mean it shouldn't bother somebody else. And that's how I always try to look at it. But I can't ship blank boxes because all you're doing is creating the space inside the container. You go from China, and the shipping containers are about $30,000 now. You know what it was when I did World at War 85? About $15,000 a container.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about doubling the price.
Yeah.
And more importantly, you can't get on the bloody containers to get on the bloody ships.
Fuel costs have gone up, and fuel costs go up. Everything else goes up. This
global supply chain has just become a problem.
They don't have enough ships now.
Yeah.
To keep everything going.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, so as far as to answer your question a little bit more directly, I don't know which one's going to make it to the starting line first. It's either going to be the Fury game. We might release 2 of them together. We might release them just back to back. The goal is to take 3 or 4 games, maybe even 5 games, put them all in the same order. And we're going to print very limited copies. So if we, sell, I'm just going to say 800 copies, you might get 1,100 games ordered. If we sell 1,500, you might see 1,700 games ordered, and then we'll do a reprint.
All right, well, just something to think about here. Okay. All right, as someone who buys Kickstarters, I hate it when I see a couple of months go by and there's a dearth of anything I want to back, and then 1 month will hit and there's like 4 games that I want to back, and then I have to choose. It's like, okay, well, so I wouldn't necessarily do them at the same time, overlapping, because then you could be potentially
not overlapping, back to back.
Back to back is different. Have a.
I see what Nate's saying, because he's talking about actually from the customer's cost. It's like you feel like you're digging into your pocket every time. But I understand where David's coming from too. I've talked with him about this as well, and voiced the same concerns, looking at it from a Kickstarter backer's point of view. And I see both sides, and I agree with both sides. So it's one of those things where it's like something's got to give. And for the business to stay in business, I think it's the customer that's going to have to probably yield a little more than the business will. You may be able to do half and then another half a few months later or something.
A year ago, 2 years ago, $15,000 Canadian, which I think is expensive. Now you're talking almost $30,000 a container.
Yeah.
Well, who do you think's paying for that? It's going to be the customer. Okay, and there's very few. I mean,
there's the answer.
A lot of games
There's your answer right there, Dave. Run a Kickstarter, raise $1 million, start a printing company.
I know he may be somewhat joking around, but I actually have talked to people in China about setting up a U.S. division of a Chinese printing company.
And they laughed.
No, they didn't. Because they're seeing the problem too. And God forbid, for 1 second, something happens with Taiwan, or Biden or China gets their panties in a bunch, and who knows what's going to happen. Okay, I mean, let's face it. The whole reason that I had so many delays with Storming the Gap and Space Infantry was the fear, not the actual trade war, a fear of a trade war that never happened.
Yeah,
and look what happened. So, like I said, I don't want to have people's money and not know when I'm going to get them again. Recently, when I'm going to get them again. I mean, I have to say, overall, we sold thousands of games through Kickstarter the last 2 or 3 we did. Okay. And I would say there's probably 4 annoying dirtbags that were just pain in the asses to be pain in the asses.
Well, that's why I've always said, and I wish every company would do this, figure out when they estimate that the game's supposed to get in. And it's like, I think I mentioned this to you before. If you think that the game would realistically be in your hand by August, don't say August. Say estimated delivery date is 3 months down the line. That way, it's psychological. If someone is thinking, hey, I got the game ahead of time, but realistically they got it when they should have got it, they're fine. But if delays happen...
That only works if... when I went and got the last games, I got it guaranteed. So I was told. Ship date and
what did I tell you?
I roughly know how long it takes to get here. Okay? That release date, getting the printing done was at least a month behind. It took them about 2 weeks, give or take a day, to get it from the warehouse into the containers and on the dock. Now, normally, by the time my printer tells me it's on the dock, I could literally find it in the ocean heading towards the States. I'm not exaggerating. Okay, when we did all the Lock and the Tactical games, by the time I notified it, it was already on the way there. Okay, but it took them weeks. Then they put me on a ship because the shipping was so backlogged. I think those games hit every single port in China, going up and down the coastline, and then they switched it around. And I was so annoyed of how long it was taking. I sent it to Seattle. Let Devin meet the ship. Okay, and I think there's a picture of Devin showing the ship. I didn't go through customs. I paid extra money to go faster, to put it on a train, and then do the customs in, I think, Indiana.
So was that like the drug dealer route? You pay off customs and they don't check?
Hey, listen, it's the end result. That's what I keep telling my kids. It's the end result that counts.
Just bring them across the southern border. You'll be good to go.
It's still 2 weeks. And then I think we paid $5,000 or $6,000 per tractor trailer to drive the games from Indianapolis to Pueblo. We're not talking like 80 hours of driving. I'm sure it's a day's drive, maybe a half a day's drive if you know what you're doing. I mean, it just was. I mean, Darren was just losing his crap about the shipping, and you know what? Rightly so.
But the point is all the Kickstarters I've backed, I've never had one that actually met its estimated date ever. So
I agree with you, but you know what it is?
Estimated longer.
I did estimate longer than I was told. Okay, the problem is you get a couple of people, and it's a few, it's single-digit people who just want to be asswipes and constantly bicker and complain and bitch about the stupid, it's late. I posted tracking on the containers, okay? And I said, hey, everyone will know where the containers are. I'm not kidding. The idiots gave me the wrong boat, okay? Then the boat that they gave, when I figured it out, they gave me another boat, okay? And that boat went right past England and headed towards Poland. Guess what? It was the wrong boat again. It's very frustrating because you look like an incompetent moron when it's really out of your control.
Well, I mean, you guys can't control shipping, but they're not going to prioritize you or any other small business. They're going to prioritize Target and Walmart and Home Depot, the people that are going to be ordering buckets of shit from them from overseas. So those companies are going to get priority when it comes to shipping, and they'll get your crap over when they get it over. And that's going to be the same for every small business. That's not a dig at you. That's any small business.
No. I want to make it in such a point that I want to print it here, because you know what? I can't believe printing here. When I find someone who wants to make some money and kind of corner the industry, if you want to put it that way, where I know when it's printed, within 3 or 4 days of it being printed and boxed together, it will be in my warehouse. Now, I admit that maybe people in Europe will wait a little longer, but you know what? The guys we deal with, Second Chance Games, and I forget the company in France we deal with, we'll just stick it on a plane and send it over. It's still cheaper because it's just so few games we're shipping.
Time out on that one. LBW, let me know, how is Kickstarter your enemy? So flesh that out in the comments for me.
Because people will buy from the Kickstarter rather than buying from the store. And LBW, are you not buying directly from Dave and selling in your store?
No.
If you're not, you two need to hook up.
So many people miss the damn Kickstarters, and they usually have a retail option.
Yeah, I actually sent out a mailing list. I don't know if you were on it, LBW. Probably not, because you probably would know this then. You see, and that's the other thing, too. A lot of these distributors won't carry a war game. I mean, Wizards of the Coast, and then Diamond, I think is the other one, and there's one more. I mean, they don't move enough of them to care. And let's face it, you can't buy every game out there. So what we do is, Darren and I have a system that the second the warehouse gets the games, we package up the dealer orders and ship them. So it's usually the same day as the Kickstarters go out, but if a dealer orders from us like that, they'll get it within a couple of days of the shipments going out. And so if someone missed the game, it's not like they're going to have to wait, 8 weeks for it to show up.
I actually like it when a retailer carries a Kickstarter, because there's a game store near me, Game Theory, and they're the only store locally that I know of that will back some of these Kickstarters, and they don't get a lot, but they'll get a handful of some of the bigger selections. And it's nice to know if I did miss it, I can check that store, and there's a good chance that I'll be able to pick it up and get a decent run of it. Because there's some of them, like that Hellboy game I actually mentioned in the review, it wasn't worth getting just the base retail version. If you didn't have all the Kickstarter extras, it wasn't worth actually buying.
LBW, if you can't get in touch with Dave, get in touch with me. I'll get you in touch with Dave.
And you know what? I'll put you in touch with Darren. You tell him what your problem is, what it is. I'd rather work with the game stores carrying war games than attempt to work with the distributors. There's some exceptions to that, okay, in all fairness, but the majority is not. Okay, because a lot of stores only play, like our local game shop here. It's all, what is that stupid miniature game?
Which one?
Warhammer.
Warhammer, yeah, that's all they sell. And I've actually given the guy games on consignment. It's been about 6 years. They're still there, 1 or 2 of those games. Okay.
I have pushed you to my local store there, David, but I think he might be a little biased now, as he's actually started working for MMP. So I don't know. No, there's nothing bad against that. But he's got a smaller store, doesn't have a huge amount. Half of it's dedicated to the retail space, but he might as well expand what he's carrying in store now, because no one's playing in store anyway. All his tables have been empty for over a year.
Yeah,
but it's the store that I advertise on the beginning of my videos.
The other thing too to keep in mind, that the customer has to keep in mind, if you talk about printing in the US, that means game costs are going to go up,
but the shipping costs will go down. And now, the shipping is much worse than the printing. Right now, it may change, but that's the big problem.
But most people, and we talked about this with Compass Games, most people are fine paying a few dollars more if they know that it's going into American producers' pockets.
I totally agree
with that.
Yeah.
I don't mind paying, $80 instead of $70 or $90 instead of $80, whatever, if I know it's being produced here in America. I'm totally fine with that. I think that Compass screwed up by not advertising, hey, made in America. Bah. They're like, roger that. Okay, cool. I like that. I want to see more of that. I don't mind paying for it.
Yeah, no, I will do that. I mean, I pretty much buy almost everything Uwe puts out just to support him with friends. I just supported Herman and his new product. Like I said, Worthington, I don't know if anyone knows this, Grant is his name. The guy who runs that company, right?
From Worthington, yeah. Grant, yeah.
He's just
Grant
recovering.
Tabulous.
He's recovering from
surgery.
Yeah. So just so you guys know, keep him in your prayers and stuff, guys.
What's going to hurt your feelings, old chestnut? We'll get it out of the way now if you want us to. So enough of the shipping and the Kickstarter stuff. Let's get into something else that you guys have really done a great job with, which is the digital stuff. Not only doing the board games, but now porting them to digital. And it was like at the perfect time too, right as COVID hit, when you were able to get those games out on digital, Lock and Load Tactical, as well as Nations of War. And you have, it's in early release, but you've got these games that are in really great shape and they're constantly updated like multiple times a week. So no one can say that it's not being developed, because these games are definitely getting developed and there's more DLC coming out for it.
I still get one or two people bitch.
There's always that one guy.
Yeah, it's one or two guys. The guy is literally, he wrote this diatribe on Steam saying, oh, it's been over a year, which was not true, but it was close, of early access. And I finally looked, I said, this will be in early access probably for another year. We are updating this. It's almost daily. The programmer works on it every day. He works on it full time, even on the weekends sometimes. And
that's what early access means.
Well, don't tell him that. And I just said, listen, and then he didn't like the fact that I was charging a whole whopping $4.99 for the core game. He thought I was ripping people off, because if you buy all the games for $10, it comes out to like $200. Listen, you buy what you want. You don't have to buy all of them. You don't want all of them. And if you enjoy the game, then you're getting your money's worth. I mean, is it worth, if you bought, I won't mention just publishers again, the new Russian Front game, $80.
Yeah.
Okay. And then if you bought the West in front of that, it's another $80. It's $160 for literally 2 games. Now, I think it's worth the money, because you're going to get so many hours of enjoyment out of it, and that's how you should judge it. So, but we're charging $9.99 for 10 scenarios, give or take, and we're charging $4.99 for the core. And what I like about that system is every single time we upgrade it, you just upgrade the core engine. You don't have to upgrade every game in the freaking line, and everyone benefits from it. And so it does, to me. I mean, I think we have over 8,000 customers buying the Lock and Load Tactical, about another couple thousand doing Nations at War, Victory and Glory, the Civil War game. That's kind of gone slow. Okay, Command Ops, that's got to have well over 20,000.
To be fair, though, Victory and Glory did not have a board game adaptation, right? So you weren't coming from an established base. This is a completely new game, and it hasn't been covered as much. I think the only coverage is the boot camp that I did on it, right? So it didn't have as much of a following, so that one's going to be slower just naturally.
Well, I also think, too, a lot of people like the fact that the games are on Windows and Mac. I mean, people say, oh, Mac, it's only a small percentage, but the Mac gamers are so desperate for something, almost all of them buy it, because they want to play the game.
Well, it's good for people who travel for business, or I have relatives on the road truck driver that have a laptop he play games with, right? So guys who are like that, they could get the digital version to play it while they're on the road. Or someone who wants to try the game, like back when I first was getting in the hobby, I was struggling this is before you had relaunched Lock and Load Tactical, and I was trying to find an old copy of it somewhere. And I couldn't find an old copy of it, but it would have been great to spend a few bucks on Steam and be able to try it out, see if it was something that I liked, Well,
that's why we did the actual starter kit. I mean, the starter kit has, I think we're over 3,000 or 4,000 copies of that. And it's great because if you want printed maps and counters, because I'm a lazy guy, I don't want to cut these crap out. But, for $14, $15, give or take, depending upon if it's on sale or not, you get 2 maps, a counter sheet, and you still have to download the PDF. But the PDF is free. The rules are free. The walkthrough, everything in that rule book is the exact same that we sell online.
But
okay, and
it's not just that way, though. Like I've pointed out before, your rule book is also kind of a starter kit, because all that stuff, the counter sheet, the maps, all of it's in the rule book. So if someone wanted to, they could scan those sheets and cut them out, and they've got the game right there.
Right. If they can't afford, I've met a lot of guys. Actually, there's a few guys. Again, we just were down in the luck, and I just sent them a free copy of the game. It was just, they're having a hard time, man. And, I can't necessarily give away all the time an $80, $90 game, but the starter kits I can. And it's a great way for you to learn the game, see if it's yours, and you're not spending $80, $90. You spent maybe $14 or you spent nothing, downloaded it, cut the crap out yourself, and tried it.
And Bradley's got a question there about something we've talked about, Dave. We'll get the scenario editor for digital product.
Okay, let me see if I can.
Yeah, you just started that up. You put something on Facebook about that today.
Yeah, it's what we're doing. I don't know if you guys can see this too well. Nah, it's too. That's my Windows.
Right.
Hey, just a FYI, I think I need that monitor to do some more of those boot camp videos.
Oh yeah.
So if you'd box that up, send it my way. I appreciate it. Good man.
I tell
You
you,
got two of them, so send me the other one. I can use it for a video.
Yeah, Mo needs to help me.
that monitor you can get on Amazon. It's normally about $2,000, and they send ones that went back that they fixed for like $13, and it's been probably one of the best investments I've made for productivity, because it's basically two 27-inch monitors, and there's no line, so you can just move around. And I actually have a third monitor on my Mac that I keep my email and messages and stuff like that.
Just imagine getting three of those and building your own home cockpit.
I tried to fit a third one.
Really?
The problem is it's too much out of your line of sight.
Okay. You'd have to push it forward more.
I can't. The wall's in the way.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying for it to work, to be around you, you need the space where you can push it out a little further.
Legally blind people can't really do that, man.
Yeah.
Have your Netflix over here, your gaming over here, your porn over here.
I was going to say, where's the Pornhub going to go?
Yeah.
I knew you were going with it.
So I have the TV set there, which it was just an extra one, so I stuck it on the wall. That's the Mac stuff, and that's the other Mac that keep the stuff on here.
Hey,
and then we turn around, and there's the Windows machine.
We'll make
you
sure
need another monitor.
We got to advertise David's address because he's going to get broken into. So.
And then I also have an iPad here for movies, and there's another iPad and notebook over there. Two more iPads over there, and we use that to test everything to make sure it fits on the screen properly and crap like that.
I thought it was doing good with my one little curved monitor, a little desktop that glows.
My son, I had to smack my son. He goes, "Oh, I think that's too big," because I bought him one. I don't know, Dad. I think it's too big. No man has ever said that.
Now, John brings up when he says he thinks he's just rude. He doesn't care for fledgling companies or helping out the up-and-coming companies if they don't have a finished game with nice components. It's just competing for companies that do. I can understand that point, but at the same time, how do you think GMT, Lock and Load, Compass, any of these companies started with the first title? You have to give every business a fair shake, in my opinion.
Yeah, and there's the learning curve.
Fair shake means I can understand if there's a minor error here or there, learning stuff. But if there's blatant problems like an unedited rule book or the components really are crap, I could understand the point that he's making.
Yeah, I mean, and you should note that. I mean, like I said, when we started making those rounded counters, I mean, I wish you guys were in my boardroom. You could hear them. What the hell? We can only fit so many counters on it now, and blah blah blah. And I said, listen, the counter clip, it's rounded. So
But Jester's asking for the counters to go back the old way, so that way they can be clipped, because he misses clipping.
Well, then I say find somebody else and buy their games and clip away.
Bad Jester. Very bad Jester. No, I don't. I almost have
the problem with the manual is so thick, it's 12 points.
And Kilroy was here is asking how's the Battles on Demand going?
They're doing phenomenal. We are. The warehouse regulations is we can't have enough people in the warehouse to make boxes anymore, because we used to make the game Battles on Demand by hand. And the problem is, if we're only allowed 1 or 2 people in the warehouse, we can't make enough boxes fast enough. So we had to move everything to Ziploc bags. Not my first choice. And Darren wants to box and everything else. But I said, Darren, you can only do 20, 30, 40 boxes a day if you're printing the other stuff. How many boxes can we get out? I mean, we've shipped out over 100 games, just Battles on Demand games, in a single day. That takes us 3 to 4 days doing nothing else but making boxes, which I didn't care when I had 4 or 5 people in there.
Yeah.
So now you just can't do it. But the Battles on Demand are doing pretty good, and I like it because it lets us do a lot of subject matters that in my opinion, doesn't warrant a full game. Like Wake Island is a perfect example. To me, interest in battle, but it's very limited in its scope and appeal to people. But if you put it on the Battles on Demand, it's a counter sheet or two, one map or two. You can do it affordably, and we can print it ourselves. That's the key.
Plus, you get it with War Diary.
Yeah, I mean War Diary was just. I called up Roy one day, and he was in Colorado Springs. I was so happy that someone was in Colorado with me. And I just said, hey, I have my own printing press down here. I said, if you digital press, I said, if you ever run into a problem, give me a call. And I think it was like 2 months later, he called. He goes, I expect to call you so soon, but is that office still standing? I said, yeah, drive on down. We'll talk with Blackwell. We'll sit down, and I hope Roy's watching. He's still happy, but yeah, we set it up, and he seems to be pretty happy with it. I mean, sometimes we're a little late. No argument there.
No, I've enjoyed War Diary. I think they've done good. They've started sending me some of the issues, and I've really enjoyed them.
Yeah, they're fantastic. It's great. It's a great magazine and a great partnership for Lock and Load.
Well, one of the things that Roy and I discussed was we didn't like the magazines that always give you a game, because a lot of the games just aren't that good, because you got to rush it to make the deadline to print the magazine.
Yeah.
Okay, now that's not all of them, but I'm sure the majority of them.
You shouldn't record your podcast on Tuesday nights, Brant. Just saying. Go ahead.
So basically, what Roy and I did was we. Thank you, Brent. And I said, hey, you know what? Anyone who subscribes to you for, I think it's a year, don't quote me on that, we'll give them a free War Diary. Free Battles on Demand game. And then they can pick the game they want. They're not stuck in the game they could care less about. And that goes pretty well.
See, that's the thing that I really liked about it, was having a choice, because the subscription costs as much as a single issue of one of the other wargaming magazines. I'm not going to name names, but everybody knows who I'm talking about. And you're not always going to like, but I've liked some of the games that come with those magazines, but being able to choose, like, okay, I like this option. You could get, a boxed game. It would be boxed if they weren't having shipping issues, but you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. That level of a game with rounded
but
counters.
you're getting a full game, and you get the magazine. The magazine's fantastic. It has great quality articles, and you're not having it, like you said, you're only paying what you would pay for one magazine with any of the other magazines. They all are going to run up about that cost, if not more. And it's understandable. I know why. It makes sense, because you have to print a game and everything on top of the magazine, and all that costs money. But that and the Battles on Demand is a great idea, because you get those small form factor games, you get those unique subjects, and the cost is low. So it's easy to say, hey, I'm going to order a couple of Lock and Load tactical titles, and let me throw in 2 of those Battles on Demand, because they're $30 or whatever.
Yeah. Isn't that new one, the Space Infantry one? I can't remember the damn name of it.
Federation?
Yeah, is that the one I'm thinking about? Yeah, isn't that one of the Battles of Demand too?
I don't think that is.
I thought it was. I might be wrong on that one.
It would fit the form factor, like Bougainville.
It's in my pile of to be covered.
Yeah, part of the problem, the guy we're making that into a computer game too. The gentleman who made the board game is programming the computer game, but I have to look online. I think it's not because it was supposed to be a box game, but couldn't get China for more than 8-9 months, and he didn't want to wait, and I just said, well, we'll have to go with the Ziploc, and he was really accommodating, just so we can get the game out there to the public. The game's done very well.
Well, switching it to that IP, I think, was a good choice. I think it works really well. Space Infantry's already got a big backing.
Yeah, it is part of the just Space Infantry line.
Oh, my bad. I don't want to tell people wrong information.
See you on Thursday, Brant. But that's it's a great line, and Space Infantry is a great IP, and also expands the Lock and Load footprint a little bit more, because now you got Lock and Load Tactical, Nations of War, World of War 85, and Space Infantry, which you can expand out in all different sorts of ways. You can go into tactical games, you can go into operational games, you can do solitaire games, more solitaire games than you already have. So there's a lot of room to explore because that's a whole universe that's waiting to be created as you go. Because, I mean, there's already a creation, there's a genesis there, but it can still be built out.
I'm still waiting for that Lock and Load Tactical Space Infantry. I've been barking up David's tree on that one for a while.
We got the counters in, and we played some more battles, and Devin, myself, Blackwell, we said, it really works nicely. I was really happy the way it works, but we felt there really wasn't enough, and we'll call them squads for now, counters. So I said, you know what, we need another counter sheet for this. It just doesn't flush out as well as I would like it to. And I have to give Blackwell and Devin kudos because they said, we agree with you. We need another counter sheet. So we're going to print another counter sheet in China, fly it over there, and it's going to become a 3-counter set. And, that's, I don't want to release anything until I think it's good. Because you know what? There's so many games I think is good that, wasn't perfect as I would like it to be. And that's why I hate board games. I much prefer computer games because every time I fix something up with a computer game, Tom goes in there, whoever the program is, does some typing like that, hits the save button, you got an update, and the thing is gone.
Well, you are like having it play tested outside of the core group, right? Because
what we do is we get certain groups of guys play with it. Like one of the things I don't do is Devin does not get to look at anything unless it's his game. And when we think it's all done, we print it and then we mail it to him, and he literally will sit down and try playing the game. I mean, Devin and Roy caught some nice things that were wrong in I think it was Atlanta campaign. And they fixed it, and Roy has been priceless, man. This guy has picked up at least 4 or 5 games, if not more, through his connections that we're going to be adding to Battles on Demand. And Roy's team does all the fleshing out of that, and then when he's done, it goes to Blackwell. Blackwell lays everything out. We print it on the printer. We send copies to Roy, some of his teammates, the designer, and it goes to Devin. Maybe myself or somebody else, and we sit down like we just got a brand new game and we play it. So if there's something with the counters, the basic thing is he's not allowed to look at it before
you get that fresh set of eyes on it.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's a mistake a lot of publishers make without like thinking about it, that they're buried in the game. They've spent months with it, and there could be a glowing error right there in front of their faces, and they just can't see it because they're buried in the game.
Yeah.
I have to tell you though, even after doing that, we still miss things.
Everybody's human.
A lot of the time, I'll give you the famous example. There's a Heroes of the Nam. There's a scenario. And since the very first copy that came out from Shrapnel Games up until I think even our last issue, our last release of it, has the wrong leader name in it. I don't remember what it is. Okay? It's wrong every single time. And, Jeff Lewis, he joked, he says, I wonder if anyone ever actually plays these games. Because it's never been reported as being wrong. And I think wargamers are a little bit above the cut, in the sense that, if it's a 453 called Mr. Smith and Mr. Jones is the 453, it must be Mr. Jones. You just screwed it up. And they just move along.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people, a lot of other categories of gaming does that.
Well, see, what you're saying before is really key. Sending off a game and actually trying to play it rather than just trying to push it out real fast. That's proper development. That takes time. But when, whatever time you take up front is going to pay off in the back end, the dividends are going to pay off in the back end. And that's why when it comes to anything I've been involved in, I like to do it that way if possible. It's not always possible, but it's frustrating when you try to do it like that because there's going to be mistakes, and then mistakes are made, and then it drives you up a wall. We know that.
One of the games that before I owned the company was a Richard Bird game, and I don't think they even played. I mean, when I was told, they didn't even play test all but one scenario, maybe 2, and that was it.
So Jester's trying to poke you, saying that Lock and Load Fantasy is coming in 2022.
Buddy, if you want to run Lock and Load Fantasy, we used to do that at Major. We used to run football fantasy, and I think we even did baseball.
No, Lock and Load Tactical Fantasy with like elves and dwarves, like TVG style.
Okay,
that's not a bad idea, actually.
Not a bad idea.
Well, here's what we've got. Sean is working on a fantasy game, but he's not allowed to work on it until he's done the card game. Shut up, guys. What's the matter?
They want to get in on the show.
Okay.
It's like my kids.
Yeah, this is Gizmo, or as I like to call him, Crappy Fist.
Why am I not surprised that you got a little ankle biter?
Oh, this is my wife's dog. I know.
But where's the dog right now?
I told my wife.
With you.
I wasn't 100% sure on the wife. I wasn't sure about the kids. I definitely didn't want the dogs. You know what? We had up until recently 4 dogs. One hung himself by mistake in the cage, got his leash caught on.
Oh.
Yeah, my wife was not happy about that. And then the other one, Leia, which we got when my sister was staying with us, she stayed, and we noticed she was looking kind of thin. We took her to the vet because the groomer said to, and she had cancer. We had to put her down a couple of days later. So now we have Gizmo, who's got to be in the 90s in dog years. And then we have Sophie. Sophie is like a rocket. There's no such thing as walk. So
I tell you, there's something about dogs, man. They always know when I'm recording, and they'll bark in the background.
yeah, he either barks to go out or when it's food time. He wants some food. So he's getting to the point now that he needs attention. Like I got to hold him for a little bit. If I put him down, he might go away. I don't know. Actually,
see now, Jess is trying to keep pushing for that fantasy idea.
Actually, like I was thinking about it, and I'm like, I could see that the counters that have like knights, and then there's horsemen, and then archers, and you could have catapults and trebuchets and magicians if you want to go that route. Whichever direction. Yeah, the sorcerers and
you
shit.
mean wizards?
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. Dude, I told you I haven't been sleeping
David
a whole lot.
Copperfield's going to show up and start fighting orcs.
I haven't been sleeping a lot here
trick.
recently, man. The baby keeps waking me up in the middle of the night, so you're lucky my eyes are open.
Yeah, no, that's true. And then you also, the one thing we haven't talked about when we were talking about World of War 85 Kickstarter is the World of War 85 naval aspect of things.
Yeah, you guys got the picture of the box cover for that? We have a guy from the Marines. He's retiring.
It's going to be good then.
Yeah, and I have to say, Heath, myself, and Devin are very impressed with his game design. And the object of it was we want to put all the numbers within reason on the counter. Mm-hmm. And kind of look at the Second Fleet, Sixth Fleet, whatever the old Victory Games was. That type of game set in the World at War universe. And
so what scale are we talking about? You're talking about a counter is going to be an individual ship, right?
Ship or represent X amount of ships that is a fleet.
Fleet, yeah.
So you're talking about high level, like strategic level.
No, you can also have, I think, let me see if I can get this to come up. Can I share a screen here? This is a sample map, I think, the programmer got from a different game. So before anyone tells me I'm copyright infringement, it's just to give me an idea of what he wanted. Where is that picture?
Oh, David is from like Jersey, right? So being a thief should just go right.
I agree.
That's how we get shit done up there.
Yeah, if we have to actually wait and do it through the legal method, we'll never get anything done.
I'm gonna have some Yankees who are getting mad at me. Who the hell keeps going out my front door?
The dog that keeps barking.
The wife went out to the car to get something.
Okay, see if you can get that up there.
Click the button that says share.
Share.
At the bottom.
I did.
I don't see it.
I don't see anything either.
No, I had to click. I have more than one screen, so once I click the screen.
That's why.
Oh, there it is.
So this is not, like I said, it's not the map. It belongs to, I think, PQ17, but this is the style of map we're looking to do, roughly.
Okay.
We want to cover a little bit more area. I believe his name is Tom. Sorry, Tom, if you're not Tom. But he wants to cover a little bit more of the Baltic as well. But the whole object is to...
Well, hello.
Hey, Kev.
What's up, Kev?
What's up, Kev?
I need to put some sound on. How are we doing? Hey, Dave.
I hear they're running you out of the state.
Almost.
I told you can't go pissing on the Alamo, man. Ozzy didn't do well with that either.
Oh, that's funny, guys.
But he's getting out of Austin.
Austin's nice, isn't it? From what I saw, at least.
From the air, it's probably great looking.
Fabulous. It's fabulous. I love Austin. I am just moving.
There you go.
My wife would like to move. Would be the politically correct answer.
So now John is saying that the next World War expansion should be Marines.
It should be Marines.
No, the next World War expansion will be. It's going to be Europe. I think it's America Breached. No, sorry. It's Blood and Fury or Blood Fury, whatever it's called, and that will bring the Brits into the war or play the Brits, and then you're going to have the French, which Nicholas is working on, and I don't remember what that game is called, but it's going to have the Dutch and the French, and then the one after that will be America Breached.
Cool.
And it will not take place in Florida. Who wants to invade Florida? Come on, guys.
So what's the premise, David? Well, what's the premise for America Breached?
The premise is, and Keith and I wrote out a history. This may not be perfect, but is a lot of resources go to Europe, and the Mexican government and the Cuban government, Soviet forces, very minimal ones, move into Mexico to not necessarily conquer America, because I don't really think that's really realistic, but go there to stop more resources from going to Europe.
Hell?
So
Someone's disagreeing with that. That's Yoda.
No,
that's Chewbacca.
that's my son. That's because he's annoying me, so he's texting me. But it's going to go through Mexico, up through Texas, and it's really more to soak away troops. It's not necessarily that you're going to be conquering Washington, D.C. or necessarily Dallas. And so far, the snares have been really nice that Keith has done. That's why we put the Alamo in there, because he's like, who the hell is going to go to Florida? You're going to have to go to Mexico, use that as an assembly area, and then move your way up.
Conquer the Mouse House.
Yeah.
So your plan then is like Soviet troops are coming in through Latin America?
Not so much Soviet troops, but
Cubans.
Soviet troops, because we wanted some Soviet troops there. But it'd be Cubans, Venezuelans, Mexicans, Sandinistas, or whatever is down there now. And basically, it's kind of like opening up a front, because you have to defend it. You can't, as America says, let them go to Dallas, let them go to Denver. Who cares?
I don't think that works.
If you're going to have him go in,
send one tank, and the militia here will take care of the rest.
I was going to say, yeah, they're coming into Texas. It's definitely the worst state to come into.
Yeah.
Well, don't they ass kissing?
We got asked some guys, and if you land in Florida, it's so easy to bottleneck them.
Yeah.
And Texas, you got a lot more maneuverability, and we wanted the maps, and we love the idea of having, quote unquote, another fight at the Alamo type of thing.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's not just that; it's actually getting there. And like I watched some video and did some reading on this, like people who were wargaming it, and it was like, what would happen if they were actually invading America? And every option just ends in failure, because they can't really sail into East or West Coast. They're going to get destroyed. Coming in through Canada is not really a viable option, and then South America seems to be the most viable option, but they still have to cross a large section of ocean to get there to stage their troops, which leaves them very vulnerable to airstrikes and naval counterattacks.
Not only that, supply would be a problem. What's that, Dave?
Unless you want to make the first strike as America, technically you're going to be able to kind of sail over to Mexico, and until they start firing at you through the Mexican border, you're not going to have a real reason to sink them outside of a preemptive strike. Which
it's all pre-planned. It's all pre-positioned.
Yeah.
And it's a game, by the way.
Yeah.
What? It's not real?
No.
Where are they
going to be accurate?
You've got troop ships with thousands of soldiers on it being sailed into Mexico. They're not going south. They're going north.
They're going to Cancun, bro. Come on.
Yeah.
Spring break.
Look, there's a whole bunch of Russians. They go,
ideas.
Hello, everyone. Where is tequila? Where do I get this thing called tequila? And
what is this thing called spring break?
You gotta have some imagination, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm here now, as you can tell. Sorry, I was late.
That's what we need. That's what you need to do. Tell Keith that's what he needs to do for the cover story. A whole Russian armada sails to Cancun for spring break, and then veers right and comes up the Gulf and goes after Texas at the last second.
They land.
It would be a combination of funny as hell and plausible enough to have us play the game.
Right. And then the next ones after that, I don't know. I know Keith has it pretty well. Thank you. Has it pretty well strung out there. And we thought about, but the Navy game is just, like I said, it's very similar, but it's not made to tie in yet. And a conversation has occurred about, can we add it and play a strategic game? No. Okay. Jeff Schulte is making what we're calling World at War 85. It's going to be a strategic war in Europe game. It's based off of the Storming the Gap system, World at War 85. If you've played Storming the Gap and you have the larger formations, you have the higher up cards, Keith, Kevin, remember those?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be played like that, but it's going to cover all of, I think, Denmark, West East Germany, and probably down into Austria and Italy and those areas. So it's going to be more of a strategic game compared to an operational game or a tactical game that you get with World at War 85.
That'd be kind of cool. You've changed your office.
What?
Have you changed your office, or have you just got your camera?
Oh no, I did you were late, buddy. No, I got got rid of all my desks and furniture, moved everything around.
There's another plausible option.
Yeah. You know what? So here's a really good book. You can tell Keith tracked in. There's a strategist here in town, a company called Stratfor, and they have a guy that has done. Damn it! Why can't I remember his freaking name? I'll get you the book, but it's called The Next 100 Years, and the premise is that 60 years from now, and he's probably a little late, but 60 years from now there'll be a civil war, and that's okay, Dave. Don't worry. Go talk to your son, and I'll hang out and wait.
He just gets distracted. Although we got to talk to David while we can. I think he's got COVID.
Yeah.
George Friedman?
Yeah, it's George Friedman. There you go. So George Friedman's book, his premise is that because of the massive influx of Hispanics and Mexicans and South Americans and Central Americans into the southern half of the country, that the population right now it's 50 or 51% Hispanic. It'll go to 60, 65, and there'll be this issue, and I forget what the issue is, but it becomes an economic political issue about pay and services and taking care of the underrepresented Hispanic population, and the Mexican government will try and support them, and that is what initiates basically a civil war inside the U.S. This is in like 20, 40, 50, 60 years or whatever it is. This book was written 10 years ago. Yeah. And so it's a book called The Next 100 Years, David, by George Friedman.
I wrote that down.
And it posits the biggest threat to the United States is an internal civil war in the South, Hispanic versus white, basically, is what the premise is. And it's really interesting. And he also goes into a lot of the geopolitical reasons why the U.S. does everything it does, regardless of who's president. And it's a really cool book. I'm not necessarily agreeing with it, but it's a really interesting premise, and he justifies it all by explaining what we never thought we would have a Korean War after World War II. We never thought we'd have a Vietnam after the Korean War. We never thought we'd have an Iraq after, and he goes through all this like justification of these decades of events that happen every 20 years, every 2 sets of 10, and talks it through. Anyway, I'll shut up now. It's a really cool book though, so it'll be a good premise for your nonsense of invading America and Texas in particular.
All right. Well, there you go. And what else we have? We have a Lock and Load Tactical ready for China. Nicholas has finished that with David Julian. Capitals are good. So he's going to cover the warehouse in the Nationalist Chinese fighting the Japanese. And
that's set in World War II?
World War II.
Okay.
What else do we have for you? World at War 85 on the computer. Is anyone interested?
Oh, nice. When's that?
I don't know when they'll be ready. Yeah, next week, yes. I don't know when they'll be ready.
Made him say it.
But it's coming. I mean, the guys agreed. We shook hands on it. They're going to do it. The Nations at War did very well. And guys, if you think you might like Nations at War, you think you might like World at War, support these guys and help them with World at War. They're doing a great job. They originally wrote the game in Java, and I said, "Yeah, you really want it on Unity?" And you know what? These guys said, "Yeah, you know what? Dave's right. Let's move it over." And they did it. It took them a little bit longer, but you know what? It's so much cleaner and easier to do.
I think that one got canceled.
No. It's sitting here on my desk. Like I said, that is waiting for some of the other games so I can, what I said before, Kickstarter, wait 48 hours, Kickstarter, and then put them all at the printers at the same time. Because I can't, I'm not going to charge customers $6, $8, $10 just in production value to pay for the shipping container. It's ridiculous.
Well, I can kind of understand why you're doing it that way because, and I'm not hating on GMT, just using them as an example. I've got a handful of P500s backed, right? That's kind of their personal Kickstarter. But the thing is I don't necessarily know when that's going to charge. Some of them, were 2 years ago that I had put down for it. And then randomly out of the blue, I'll get charged for it. And randomly out of the blue, I'll get the notification that it's shipping. So there's no way to know. I wish I could pay for it. Yeah, like Atlantic Chase. I was
making a joke. 2 years. It's like, did you P500 the Russian campaign?
Which Russian campaign?
The Russian campaign with everything in it. That was like, I think, put on P500 like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, the game that I'm waiting for it's got to be 5 to 7 years. I don't know. Legion Games, Pearl Harbor.
I thought they already shipped that.
Yeah, really? Where? It's on the Arizona then, because I don't have it.
I remember I remember seeing ads about it, and I wanted to get it. I don't think I actually got it, but I could have swore that it already shipped.
Nope. I'm waiting. The second I heard that one, I signed up for because I've always had a real interest in Pearl Harbor. And I bought it, and, I don't bust his chops or anything about it. I just wish you get it out the door.
Well, it is still on the CPO.
Well, Legion Games is smaller. I think it's more of a single-man operation, isn't it?
He does everything himself. The count he does by hand, the maps, folds them himself, the boxes. I would kill myself before I did that. Okay.
It is entering production phase. Will be available to purchase in approximately 2 months.
When was that dated, though?
No date.
Because it was supposed to be out 2 Pearl Harbor days ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's hopefully
the quality that it looks like it's going to have, and John Heim is pretty damn good. Yeah, he's just said, Royce just said it's still work to do on Pearl Harbor. Okay, that's what I thought.
What was that game they did? Weren't they the ones that did Picket Duty?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Picket Duty, where you played the Destroyer, World War II.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that one. They put out good games.
The games are excellent.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes out, all the bitching about how long it took will be forgotten because everyone will be happy playing the game.
Look, I would rather a company take as long as it needs and I get a finished project. Like UVA, I think, is the top notch, no offense to present company, when it comes to that, because they will play test and scrutinize and dig into shit as long as it takes to get it ready and then some. Right? He tries to avoid any possible errors at all.
Right.
They work hard at it, so they have very few errata. I would rather a company take more of that direction.
How long can you stay in business doing that?
Well, maybe not to UVA's lengths.
Yeah.
I tease Uva every time I see him, and I call him, hey, where's my Civil War game? All he says is you pass it and walks away.
But he has euros that fill that gap.
Yeah.
And that's a big, huge thing because they'll sell more and that can float you for a while you spend 3 to 5 years working on this war game over here. War game company is totally different thing than, a blend of both of those because euros are going to sell more. They always do and always will because they have more mass market appeal. Plus they have more venues that they can get into. They can get into not just your local game store, but they can get into Target, Walmart, all those others. And they have greater face time with the customer. Whereas war games, you really need to know who to go to in a lot of cases. And because you'll see some in the game store, but you're only going to see a couple of big names and that's it. And even for the big names, you're only going to see like the latest releases.
Yeah.
Unless it's a game that hasn't sold and they've had it in the store for a year or two.
Yeah.
Does anybody buy war games in a store anymore?
I
don't. I can't find it.
If I can find something I want that I'm looking for, yeah. But
I mean, honestly, I have been. The world community will probably be beating at my door. I buy everything on Amazon now. If it's not on Amazon or something easy like that, I don't even bother anymore.
Right.
No,
I think the last game I bought in a store was Light Division by Joe Belkowski. I paid a ridiculous $40 for it.
If you want the store to exist, you got to support them. I go at least once a month to my local game store and I buy something from them.
Well, if I could find a store locally or even in Springs that sold war games, there's 5 game stores. Not one sells war games I found.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So how can I support them? And that's the only thing I want.
Well, I go there and play games and I spend money, but I'm not paying. I'm just not going to pay the extra 30-40%. If it was a little closer in cost, I think I'd pay. But I'll buy dice and I'll buy beer and have a burger or whatever. And if it's a rental table place, I'll rent a table and stuff. But I'm not going to buy the game.
My store is generally 10% under MSRP.
Oh wow!
When it comes to their prices, yeah. And
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, and I get a discount from them regardless anyway, so it's even better cost-wise. Generally, I can get it cheaper at my local game store than I can ordering it on Amazon.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. If there was a game store locally, I would go and play there.
Yeah.
But I can't find it. I mean, I haven't tried Denver, but Denver's like 2.5 hours away. And by the time I get there, I'll be exhausted. Even if I got there, then I'll drive 2.5 hours back home after I played, 8, 9, 10, 12 hours.
Well, isn't Denver kind of crap now? Didn't you guys get a lot of, Californians in from Denver?
Oh, man.
You don't want to say that.
Look at my strip, buddy. There you go.
No offense to anybody who might be from California.
California stand. LBW Strategy Gaming. Do you have an online presence?
He's got a store too.
He's got a physical store. Does he have an online presence?
You know who I buy a lot of games from too? Noble Knight Games. When I can't find something, you pay premium dollar, but I can get it, and that's half the battle sometimes.
Yeah.
No. Do you like the people at Noble Knight? I mean, I don't know them personally, so I don't want to.
The guy, I talked to the owner and some other guy. They always take my calls, always helpful. I know Darren, and I forget the gentleman's name. From what I've seen, he's been very proactive with the customers.
I don't want to hate on the guy because you are right. Because he generally, if it's rare, you can find it there, but you are going to pay the premium price. Something that what happened once, and it really irritated me, is I found a copy of this Grail game that I'd been trying to get, and I was trying to buy it on eBay, and I bid it up trying to get it, and this other bidder ended up outbidding me well above getting it at a good price. And I was like, okay, whatever, I didn't get it. He wanted it more, but then a few days later, or shipping time later, I saw it now being advertised at Noble Knight Games at a fairly significant markup. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. And I was like, I could be playing that game right now, but I get it because it's capitalism.
Capitalism.
He has it. He's making a profit on it. He was willing to pay that price to get it, so I can't really argue with it. He's making his money. It just kind of ugh. And it was War in Europe, the SPI game.
Oh, I paid $350 from that from a guy in South Africa.
Yeah.
Save your money.
I think I paid 2 copies for that now.
Everyone else stopped bidding at 200. I was going to get it for 200 even. And I think he ended up taking it for something like 260 or 275.
You got to figure out the highest bid you want to go, put that in there, and walk away.
250 was it. I was like, okay, I'm done at that. And he ended up taking it above 250 and got
There's
it.
a lot of games that I won't. I get to a certain point I don't care enough. Or what was nice is his game was completely unpunched. It was still shrink wrapped in the original plastic.
Nice.
And he boxed that thing like it was going through a nuclear war. I mean, the way that was. I mean, that thing came in pristine condition. I look at it this way. It's just like everything else I've said. This is our hobby. Okay, you play golf. You're not going to go to Walmart to buy your golf clubs. You're going to go to wherever it is, spend a fortune on it. If that's really what you're putting your time in. If you're into old cars, you're not buying a Pinto. You're buying something new and working on it. That's what you like.
Oh, the Pinto.
Well, if you
be right back, guys.
That's the end of your job. But that's what I look at. I mean, that's what I used to say about those metal dice.
I like metal dice. You sent me some
Yeah.
metal dice.
Yeah, but a lot of people complain, oh, that's $60. That's a game. I said, listen, if you play with dice that are roll ones, a percentage 20, 30% more because it's not weighted properly, or sixes, you're throwing off your gameplay.
Right.
You're making the game unbalanced. I mean, when we were doing Wing of Prayer, Eric and I bought some dice, and it was funny. We said we had a percentage how many times you rolled the numbers and everything else. And I just saw the dice there, and I bought them. And then we played again at Origins, and all the figures we did were off because the dice were balanced. And I was like, holy crap, what an idiot. I don't know why it didn't cross my mind ahead of time.
Actually, here's a thought, David. Could you make double six dice weighted? Do you know what the double six dice are?
I've seen them.
I really like those 12-sided D6s.
Right.
Yeah,
the girl who made the dice for me, either she went out of business or she sold it. She had a horrible time making the dice in China. And actually, we got all the dice in for the World at War games, and the one was drilled like 20% deeper. There was like no color on it. And I said, I can't do this. These have to be like Vegas dice, And she took her months to get the guy to finally agree that he screwed up. Then he had to redo them all, do them right, ship it all to us. It was months.
Wait, so he had drilled it that bad that it was very obviously weighted wrong?
I don't think I have anymore. I think I sent them all back to her. But, it was horrible. I mean, it wasn't her fault. But that's the problem. Luckily, the games were shipping all around the Cape Horn and everything else, trying to get to England. So it didn't matter. But, it's just that whole rigmarole of doing that.
I hate it too because I don't use the dice very often because I think of them as like my nice sets, got my name on it. So they're kind of like my trophy dice. I just got them set there. I pull them out, touch them every now and then, just put them back up.
That's funny. I use my metal ones all the time. I love them. I don't have Dave's ones because, I couldn't afford them. Just kidding, Dave. But you do use metal dice that are balanced, and when you get a one, you got a one, right? And sometimes you get like with Under an Iron Sky. I remember I actually went and tested the D20s, put them in super salty water because they'll pop up to the same number every time when you put one in if they're out of weight. They weren't exactly the best, right? So, but then again,
Jessic dice are very unbalanced.
Yeah, they're hard to make too. They're hard to make them right. So,
yeah.
Can you have you guys heard about the thing where you can microwave a dice for a few seconds to cause it to melt a little bit on the inside to have it become weighted? Some guy was talking about trying to do that, and this was X-Wing dice, different dice, but he was trying to like microwave his dice a little bit to make it to where crits would pop up more often. The hard hit in the game. I don't know if he ever tried it or not. I wouldn't know if it was successful. I figured one of y'all might have heard of that before, but just interesting thought. You guys put it in chat if you've ever microwaved your dice to cheat. It's not something I'm going to try.
I mean, we used to get a bucket of dice, and we would just, once you're done rolling that dice, you throw it in the empty bucket and you keep going. But, the problem with that theory is if you buy, 100 dice from company A, they're probably all weighted the wrong way in the same spot, because they do it in big batches. I mean, like I said, that woman who made those dice for us, I really like. Some guy bought the company, and I said, hey, I want to buy a couple more 100 from him, and I never heard from him again. Don't know what happened. And I just don't want to be bothered doing it myself.
Actually, David, let me ask you this, because this is something that's always tripped me out, and I've always been curious. Are D6 so much cheaper to make it worth it? Because it seems like 90% of war games use D6, and I always like it when I see a D10 or D20, a D12, whatever, something different in the box than the usual square D6s. Is it that much cheaper to buy a D6 versus something else?
D6 is less than half, probably maybe 25% the cost of a D10.
Are you shitting me? It is that big of a difference?
Yeah, you're talking, I think it cost me, don't quote me on this, I think it's a penny or half a penny per dice is what I pay for a 6-sided dice. But again, I'm buying those dice from China in a vat, probably full of chemicals I don't want to know about, compared to perfectly balanced dice. And the 10-sided dice, I think that 8 cents, 10 cents, I forget. So it's a significant amount of, more money. I mean, you're talking pennies here. So
yeah, but you multiply that out by 1,000 copies, and all of a sudden it's real money, right?
Yeah.
Then you got to ship them and all the rest of it.
And now you can't print just 1,000 games without taking a financial hit. I mean, we print a minimum of 1,600 games. And the last 2 games we printed, as far as our Kickstarters, I think we printed over 3,000 pieces. So, 3,500, 3,300, something like that.
Yeah, World at War 85 was huge. I could see a lot of dice with that one. That one came with like 6 dice. So yeah, if you've got 6 dice in the box and you're paying 8 times as much per die, I can see that adding up real quick. I mean, it makes a little bit more sense, but I would almost rather pay the 10 cents more for the game, to have something different.
Well, that's still benefit. You can go buy the dice you want. If you want metal dice, go buy 2 sets of 6 and you have all the dice you need.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're into role-playing games, I mean, they carry around with those bags of dice everywhere they go, to play the role-playing game. War games can do the same thing if they want to.
You're right.
I just don't think they realize in a lot of cases how much it's, thrown off the games.
Yeah. I do that. When I turn up to play, I usually bring dice, and I don't care who uses them, but because I have played with one guy, Norm, and whatever dice we use, we both use the same dice. So there's none of this, here's my special die stuff. Whereas
it's still, if you're rolling a percentage more of 1s or 6s, I'm just using that as a, you're going to either get more misses than statistically should be available to you.
Sure.
Or you're going to be getting, I mean, I played a game of Russian Front by Avalon Hill, and I think I rolled with a set of dice, something like, let's just say there was 40 dice rolls. I think I rolled 35 6s. I mean, the guy didn't have any counters in the board, and I was just like, wow, I can't be that lucky. It was the die. It was high school, so I didn't realize it at the time. But, there you go. There's a game that the guy couldn't even get 4 guys in the front line of the Soviet Union because he lost them all in combat.
I actually got a funny story my brother told me about where he was at a tournament. He plays Warhammer, and he was playing in the tournament, and the dude that he played in this one match legitimately had weighted dice. And he had a couple of different sets with him, different colors, which wasn't unheard of because in that game you could be rolling upwards of 40 dice in a single roll depending on how many guys are shooting. So guys having a bunch of different colored dice wasn't unusual. But Matt paid attention, my brother paid attention during the game and noticed that the guy was real shady about his dice, but when he needed to do certain rolls, like sometimes you want to roll high, sometimes you want to roll low in the game, he would go to these different colors at those moments, and he picked up on it, called over one of the TOs, and he's like, pick up that guy's whatever colored dice and roll them, and I bet you it's going to roll 6s. And the TO's like, hey, let me see your dice. And the guy's grabbing him like, no, you guys don't need to see my dice. And he ended up pitching a big fit over it. They made him turn over his dice. They rolled them, and sure enough, it was weighted dice. Constantly rolling 6s or constantly rolling 1s.
In baseball, you got, tar, glove, crap like that. I mean, if you're going to cheat, what are you freaking playing for?
Well, the guy, he had won his games like all the way up to there. He was like 3-0. And the tournament director, kicked him at that point, but it threw off the whole tournament because now those guys had losses, but they had different opponents now than they would have. So it really did kind of throw a kink in it until it got caught. But you're right, it's shady.
Just to give you an idea how much cheating really does go on at times, Steel Panthers World at War, what we did when I was at Matrix, we have found that what people were doing was they would play their turn, save it, open the game in the editor, put all their forces at the maximum combat value, save it, do the turn, get the results, open it up, save it again, put all the numbers back. And I actually said, who would take the time to cheat like that? Well, it was quite a bit of people. So we actually had to block the first 10 scenarios. War in the Pacific was the same way.
Wow.
So what happens is you can open them in an editor, but you can never save it in the first 10 slots. You had to save it from slot 11 up. So if you were playing someone that you didn't know or didn't maybe trust 100%, you always made sure to play from slot 1 through 10 because you knew they couldn't be edited, at least not easily. So if you play in slot 11,
it was like play by email type thing?
No. Well, yeah, it would be play by email, I guess. Yeah. So they were cheating because they would go and change all the forces, combat factors, and all that. And what morons are going to sit there and go through all the freaking destroyers and carrier planes and everything else and make them to see if they're right or wrong.
I want to know what the heck the conversation was. I had to step away to take care of my wife. She's not feeling too good tonight. So I want to know what I missed when it said, I can see Kevin a Pinto.
Oh, I was giving, David was poo-pooing the fact that if you're in your hobby, you just spend the money you need to spend, right?
Yeah.
And then he goes, if you're in the cars, you're not going to buy a Pinto. I was like, what's wrong with the Pinto? I don't know what it is.
Oh, Etzel, right? Is that the other one? Etzel?
Isn't that a type of bean?
It was a car that was supposedly going to be a big hit that just bombed horribly. Is that what it was? Etzel?
I have no idea.
David, you got one of those back when you were younger, didn't you? Right when it came out
No,
online?
not me, buddy. Not me. My first car was, we called it the Gray Ghost because it died everywhere it went on me. And then I think I got a British MG. I had that for a while. That car, I could never get to start. I had to back it in the driveway, roll it down the driveway, pop the clutch so I can start it and keep going. And then I got a brand new Mustang after that, which I shouldn't have bought because I couldn't afford it.
I got to stop picking on you guys about being old. The gray's starting to show up on my beard too much to get away with it now.
You got more gray than we do.
Yeah.
This is racing stripes. Racing stripes, buddy. You see?
J. Jonah Jameson look. But so the last thing here is what do you plan? I mean, what do you see happening in 22 for Lock and Load Publishing?
Here's Driving Stalingrad. We got 3 maps, and that game is done. Okay, we just released Battles to the Rhine, which I think you guys would have copies of.
Not yet.
You didn't get Battles to the Rhine.
That's us, David. No one.
You might have.
I don't think you're making the right payments to Darren, guys.
Darren. I'm going to text him right now. Where the hell's my damn Battles of the Rhine?
It might be in the
Actually,
mailbox. I haven't checked it in a couple of days.
Just to give you an idea how well COVID is helping us, we have a Xerox printer, right? Good printer too, might I add. Not great, but good. And the printer internal guts died. We ordered these parts 2 weeks ago, maybe even longer. They're still not all here yet. So we probably, why you guys haven't seen your copies yet, is because Darren probably can't print them.
That's not acceptable. I want my damn free game.
Want my game. Want it now.
Oh, come on. Like, you guys aren't just like me with a stack of to-do list games.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I haven't touched dice in 3 weeks. Don't even talk to me, okay? I don't have a fridge. I have no fridge in this friggin' house.
Have you sold the house? You moved it?
3 weeks without a fridge.
What?
Wow, that's tough.
I mean,
But you need to store whiskey in the fridge.
What's that?
Have you sold the house? Are you set to move a move date or?
No, we haven't sold it yet. We're still showing it. That's why I was an hour late, because some person had to come and look at it. So
you do realize that you're talking to the guy who spent a year in the desert with nothing but the shit I could carry on my back, right? Actually,
hey, look,
2
man,
years.
everyone makes choices, brother. It's not my fault.
I think you need better window treatments, Kev. I think that's the whole stopping point right there.
Yeah, you know, they need to be white. More white. Oh my God. Yeah, but no, so we're living out of 2 mini fridges. We're buying milk in like little cartons so it'll fit into the beer fridge, and all the beers in the garage, and that's a tragedy just in itself. And then my wife's, we've got this other mini fridge that we can keep the food in, so that's kind of weird.
That's why you drink whiskey. You don't need a fridge.
That's exactly right, brother. I know. I gave up beer for the last month.
You know what I bought my wife early for her anniversary? Did you hear of Barstein, I think it's pronounced? It basically holds 5 different liquors, and you buy K-cups. So you want to make a Long Island iced tea, you stick it in the machine, and I bought a nice top shelf alcohol, and it just makes the cup. You can tell it's strong, light, whatever you want.
Wow.
It does Long Island iced teas. It does whiskey sours. Old fashioned. Oh, yeah. So
that's dangerous.
Yeah, you know, if she drank a lot, I never would bought it. You know, she drinks like once a week.
No, that's dangerous telling us about that, because.
Oh no, I got it. I mean, it's like $3.50 on Amazon, but I found the woman selling it on Craigslist right up here in town, and I was like, I'm driving over there and picking it up now.
Did you meet her at AA, or was it?
She actually had 2 machines she got for Christmas. And
oh, wow.
never bothered bringing the other one back. And she put it up there. And when my wife, have you heard about this? And I was just like, yeah, I was thinking about it. And I just didn't know if you would really like it. But I had Darren's wife over, Darren, my sister, and my wife, and they all made drinks. And it's perfect because you can't really frig it up. You know, you should just put the one in, hit the button, and boom, done.
Convenience.
Yeah. So, but it makes a good drink. She had the whiskey sour. She said it was really old fashioned. She said it was really good.
Nice.
All right. I gotta jump in here, fellas. She's waving at me to help with the baby, and I told her I would be off at 9:30 at the latest. So
sure. Did I miss the baby? Are we gonna see? Did I miss seeing?
You missed it. Baby was there earlier.
Yeah, I brought the baby on earlier for just a minute to show. But I don't think I can get her to walk in front of the camera while she's nursing the baby. So you'll have to forgive her for that one.
Oh, really?
We don't have a fancy blur technology.
Come on,
she's a lock and load booth babe.
Yeah, there you go. All right, guys. Sorry to bounce on you real quick, but I gotta go help her out.
We're gonna be closing out here in a few minutes anyway. So
hey, it was good talking to you, David. I'll see you other knuckleheads later.